Today's topic is pain and how to treat it in a biofeedback clinic. The SCIO is registered to be able to treat pain through the process of microcurrent transcutaneous electronerval stimulation. It can set up a cybernetic link that can help through electrical stimulation to gradually diminish pain sensation. We'll talk a little bit more about the SCIO later, but first let's talk about the basic idea of what pain is.
Everyone agrees that pain is a universal human experience. We now know that pain is 100% of the time produced by the brain. This includes all pain, no matter how it feels, sharp, dull, strong or mild, and no matter how long you've had it. You might have had it for a few weeks or months. This is called acute pain, and it's common with tissue damage, say from a back injury or ankle sprain. And generally, you'll be encouraged to stay active and gradually get back to doing all your normal things, including work. Or you might have had it for 3 months or more, and this pain is generally called persistent or chronic, because in this type of pain, tissue damage is not the main issue. What's less clear, though, is when you're told you have chronic pain, is knowing what's best to do about it. Well, in Australia, chronic pain is a really big problem. In fact, 1 in 5 people have it. Having a brain that keeps on producing pain, even after the body tissues are restored and out of danger, is no fun. Some people say it still feels like they must have something wrong. But that's just it. Once anything dangerous is ruled out, health professionals can explain that most things in the body are healed as well as they can be by 3 to 6 months. So ongoing pain being produced by the brain is less about structural changes in the body and more about the sensitivity of the nervous system. In other words, it's more complex. So to try and figure out what's going on, you need to retrain the brain and nervous system. To do this, it's helpful to look at all the things that affect the nervous system and may be contributing to your individual pain experience. What can help is to look at persistent pain from a broad perspective, and by using a structured approach and a plan, it's less likely that anything important will be missed. Let's start with the medical side. Firstly, taking medication can help, but only to a limited extent. It is the more active approaches that are necessary to retrain the brain. So using medications to get going is okay, and then mostly they can be tapered and ceased. Some people also think surgery might be the answer, but when it comes to a complex problem like chronic pain, surgery may not be helpful. So if you're thinking of surgery, it's best to get a second opinion, and remember to consider all the things. Next, it is helpful to consider how your thoughts and emotions are affecting your nervous system. Pain really impacts on people's lives, and this can have a big effect on your mood and stress levels. All those thoughts and beliefs are brain impulses too, but you can learn ways to reduce stress and wind down the nervous system. This helps with emotional well-being and can reduce pain as well. The third area to consider is the role of diet and lifestyle. Now, it turns out that our modern lifestyle might not be so good for us. In fact, what we eat and how we live may really be contributing to a sensitized nervous system. Looking at all the things like smoking, nutrition, alcohol, and activity levels, and seeing if there are any issues is a good beginning, and these things can go on your plan. Then there's often enormous value in exploring the deeper meaning of pain and the surrounding personal story. By stepping back and looking at all the things that were happening around the time the pain developed, many people with pain can make useful links between a worrying period of life and a worsening pain picture. For many, recognizing deeper emotions can be part of the healing process. Last, but by no means least, is physical activity and function. From the brain's perspective, getting moving at comfortable levels without fear and where the brain does not protect by pain is best, and you'll gradually restore your body's tissues. So, to sum up pain, it comes from the brain and it can be retrained, and when looked at from a whole person or broad perspective, gives you a lot of opportunities to begin. So get a helping hand if you need it, set a goal, and begin.
Pain occurs in the brain as an interpretation of what happens. So when the person is completely asleep and we put them into in the surgery room under complete anesthesia, they don't have sensations of pain. Pain actually is mostly felt completely in the brain. In order to understand this, we have to now look at some of the physiology of the pain and some of these ideas, recognizing that there's a physiology and a psychology and a whole social dynamic, a physiological and psychological dynamic that blends in, and many different things that can create pain. For the most part, physiologically, pain occurs when there's some type of a chemical imbalance, mostly regarding oxygen. If there's a shift of acid to alkaline, which creates tension, then this can create pain. But most pain is because oxygen is disturbed and mostly deficient. When you lean on your arm and you're sleeping and you wake up and you say that your arm is asleep, as blood comes back, you get a strong pain sensation. Even though without the blood there's no pain sensation, it feels asleep. But as the blood comes back, as life is restored, there's a sensation of pain as oxygen is coming back to the cells. So even giving oxygen where it hasn't been can create pain. And also, if oxygen flow is disturbed, can create pain. Now let's talk about some of the neurological factors. We find that there are different types of neurological structures that affect pain. Now first we're going to consider that of temperature. There are heat sensors in the body and cold sensors. We have certain types of pain that are aggravated by heat and that are solved by cold, improved by cold, and then we have other types of pain that are improved by cold and aggravated by heat, or other types of pain sensors that are aggravated by cold and improved by heat. We'll find that heat helps to bring blood flow, and heat is one of the most important things in helping to ease pain. When there's a lack of blood, then when we put a little bit of heat, it helps to bring blood flow back, as the other different types of menthol and other types of herbs will do this as well as massage. Now, if the temperature cells of the heat are overloaded, then we will get a pain that is aggravated by heat and improved by cold. There's a host of different homeopathics that will work on this. I put them all together in a blend and called it Homeopathic Pain Formula, where cold improves. Then I had found that I could put all of the homeopathics together into a formula that was called Where Heat Improves. So temperature was our first idea of the neurological factors behind this. In the homeopathic interview, the homeopath is always searching for what type of condition improves your pain and what kind of condition makes your pain worse. What makes it better, what makes it worse. This is some of the ideas of the homeopathic interview. Next, we're going to find that there are proprioceptors in the body which help to detect the ideas of movement. Certain pains that we have where these proprioceptors are overloaded, and then we will have a pain that the person says, I don't want to move. And they say, oh no, can't move. Don't want to move. This type of pain means that the proprioceptors are overloaded. Other pains, they want to move. They have to move. We say walk it off if we're sports injuries. Sports injuries are mostly the kind where the proprioceptors are underloaded, and we want to walk it off to help get blood circulation. However, other pains, we don't want to move it at all. So there was another idea, the idea of motion. and the idea of the proprioceptors being under or overloaded, creating a different type of pain. So here I made homeopathics for no motion and a homeopathic series for where motion improves. No motion improves or motion improves. Next, we had the idea of touch, pressure. Now, itching happens when there is a underloaded condition and we want pressure. The greatest pressure we can produce is with our fingernails. Thereby, itching is almost always when these pressure cells are determined that they want pressure. That produces an itch. But pain can also be there. We can have a type of pain where we want to massage. The person says, oh, and he lightly massages it as he holds, and he gives a light effleurage type massage. Little bit of stimulation, and it helps the pain. And another type of pain where we don't want any touch. Oh no, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it. Here, the pressure sensors can be over or underloaded as we start to understand more about the neurological factors of the pain. Here we have homeopathics where pressure improves and homeopathics where no pressure improves. So we can see that homeopathy was actually doing a neurological interview of the type and the style of the pain. Next, let's take a look at a little tool that I like to use. This I use mostly with headache, but this can be adapted to any type of pain. I write vindicate down. VINDICATE. This has a little bit of an acronym that helps me to remind myself of different things when I'm looking. First, the V, vascular. Is there a circulatory problem, either too much or too little? We'll find with migraines that the too much blood flow to one side of the head and too little to another can create a tension, thereby creating a pain. There are no pain sensors inside the brain. The pain sensors are in the skull on the outside. So when there's change of pressure, when too much pressure in an area or too little, there's an imbalance, this can create a pain. Hereby, with vascular, we'll find out that there might be a throbbing, boom, 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 with the blood. That helps to tell us that it's vascular related. Also, it's usually one side or the other. That means that the blood flow is happening different. So when the head or in the different parts of the body, and we find it that's one-sided, then we think maybe it's vascular. We have to understand. When we work a little bit more and we get extra blood flow, or the blood we stand up or we raise our hands above our head, makes the pain worse. That helps to tell you that it's vascular. Because when we raise the hands above our head, we increase our blood pressure a little bit. These are some of the tips. Next, we have intoxication. There are toxic pains. There are chemical pains. There are pains that happen in the body when we get too much of a chemical, such as ammonia, which we get an ammonia-style headache. We get a hungry headache because we need food. We get a type of thing where there's toxins. These type of toxic pains tell us that there's something that has happened and something that we need to do, and we use the skio to help find when there's toxins, etc. But they can be involved with pain. Next, we have that of N, neoplasm. Cancer. Cancer can push on areas. Most cancers don't create pain in and of themselves. They push on an area as they grow. So usually we'll find with a neoplastic type of pain that there's a cancer tumor growing, and the pain is gradually getting worse month by month by month. That helps to tell us that possibly there might be a tumor, and we have to send this person in for an MRI or refer them back to the medical doctor for more work, because that can be something that needs to be ruled out. Next, we have the D, diet. Here, we need to look at what are the different types of allergies and different types of things inside the system, but also foods. Sometimes having ice cream can create a headache. too cold. Or sometimes there's a food that people are sensitive to, or sensitive in the teeth. Sometimes there's a certain type of nutrient that can create a pain. So we want to take a look at diet, but most of the time we're looking at deficiency syndrome when we look at that with diet. Next, infection. We want to look at the idea of an infectious pain. In the case of meningitis, a stitching type of tingling pain around the skull helps to tell us. And then there's other things that can tell us that there's meningitis. But infections can create pain in certain areas. So we have to be able to rule out whether there's bacteria or whether there's worms, whether there's fungus or different things that can create pain. Next, we have the C, congenital. Is it in the DNA? Is it something inside the person, inside their DNA? In other words, have they had this all their life and they never really got rid of it? Then that's something to look at, to maybe find out that we need to do DNA work, metabolic work. Next, A, allergy. Is it an allergen? Is it a subtle food sensitivity? What is it that actually happens here? So we need to be able to take a look at those, and is that creating the pain? Next, we have trauma. Has there been an injury that has been unhealed? Having a trauma produces a pain. This is part of the alarm response. And usually it takes anywhere from a month to 6 weeks for those trauma pains to totally heal. However, if it continues past that, then it could be that the trauma started the pain, but the body didn't heal itself properly. It didn't correct it, and thereby we have a problem. So we have to be able to look at, is trauma related with the pain? Next, the E, and I've separated this into 3 different ones. Exercise, because lack of or too much exercise can create a pain. If we have too much exercise, what we call overtraining, that can create a pain as a metabolic imbalance. Too little exercise can create a pain. That's usually more the case. Then we have eyes. Are eyes related? Is it eye strain? Is it something in the sensory nerves that creates this? And then last, endocrine. Is there an endocrine disturbance, a hormonal problem, especially with women? The natural menstrual cycle couples with pain, as there's destruction of tissue with the corpus luteum being destroyed and rebuilt every month. This creates the need for the woman's monthly cycle period, a cleansing. But also there's pain with that. Every time we take out a splinter, there's pain. Detox is a big part of what we need to look at when we're looking at pain. We want to be able to clean out the system. We want to be able to work with these different things.
The autonomic nervous system is a subsystem of the central nervous system. And it's the part of your body that the part of your nervous system that creates the automatic things. For example, blood flow. My favorite, the orgasm syndrome. And I'd love to talk to you today about that, but we're really talking about blood flow today. So what happens in the autonomic nervous system is all of a sudden your blood vessels constrict just a little bit, and that little bit allows a little less blood flow to get through. So there's a slight reduction in blood flow, and in blood is oxygen. And it's actually the slight deprivation of oxygen at the place of your pain that's causing the pain. So for example, most people have put heat on their area of pain, and they feel a little better for a little while. Well, does that change your spine? Does that unherniate your disc? Does it uncompress your discs? No. What it does is it speeds up blood flow. That's all it does. With blood comes oxygen. That's why you feel a little better for a little while. So this is a very, very typical occurrence. The psychophysical, the emotions get buried, change in the autonomic nervous system, just a little bit less blood flow. In blood is oxygen, and it's the actual lack of oxygen that creates muscle pain, tendon pain, nerve pain, weakness, tingling, burning, all these really rotten symptoms are simply the cause of repressed emotions. To summarize the path to pain, it's a psychophysical activity. Unbearable emotions buried in your unconscious mind. There's a change in the autonomic nervous system, reduction in blood flow, and it's actually the oxygen deprivation at the affected location that leads to tingling, burning, numbness, weakness, nerve pain, muscle pain, tendon pain, and all the other symptoms of diversion pain syndrome.
Say you're at the beach and you get sand in your eyes. How do you know the sand is there? You obviously can't see it, but if you're a normal, healthy human, you can feel it. That sensation of extreme discomfort, also known as pain. Now, pain makes you do something. In this case, rinse your eyes until the sand is gone. And how do you know the sand is gone? Exactly, because there's no more pain. There are people who don't feel pain. Now, that might sound cool, but it's not. If you can't feel pain, you could get hurt, or even hurt yourself, and never know it. Pain is your body's early warning system. It protects you from the world around you and from yourself. As we grow, we install pain detectors in most areas of our body. These detectors are specialized nerve cells called nociceptors that stretch from your spinal cord to your skin, your muscles, your joints, your teeth, and some of your internal organs. Just like all nerve cells, they conduct electrical signals, sending information from wherever they're located back to your brain. But unlike other nerve cells, nociceptors only fire if something happens that could cause or is causing damage. So, gently touch the tip of a needle. You'll feel the metal, and those are your regular nerve cells, but you won't feel any pain. Now, the harder you push against the needle, the closer you get to the nociceptor threshold. Push hard enough, and you'll cross that threshold and the nociceptors fire, telling your body to stop doing whatever you're doing. But the pain threshold isn't set in stone. Certain chemicals can tune nociceptors, lowering their threshold for pain. Now, when cells are damaged, they and other nearby cells start producing these tuning chemicals like crazy, lowering the nociceptor's threshold to the point where just touch can cause pain. And this is where over-the-counter painkillers come in. Aspirin and ibuprofen block production of one class of these tuning chemicals, called prostaglandins. Let's take a look at how they do that. When cells are damaged, they release a chemical called arachidonic acid. Now, two enzymes called COX-1 and COX-2 convert this arachidonic acid into prostaglandin H2, which is then converted into a bunch of other chemicals that do a bunch of things, including raise your body temperature, cause inflammation, and lower the pain threshold. Now, all enzymes have an active site. That's the place in the enzyme where the reaction happens. The active sites of COX-1 and COX-2 fit arachidonic acid very cozily. As you can see, there's no room to spare. Now, it's in this active site that aspirin and ibuprofen do their work. So they work differently. Aspirin acts like a spine from a porcupine. It enters the active site and then breaks off, leaving half of itself in there, totally blocking that channel and making it impossible for the arachidonic acid to fit. This permanently deactivates COX-1 and COX-2. Ibuprofen, on the other hand, enters the active site but doesn't break apart or change the enzyme. COX-1 and COX-2 are free to spit it out again, but for the time that ibuprofen is in there, the enzyme can't bind arachidonic acid and can't do its normal chemistry. But how do aspirin and ibuprofen know where the pain is? Well, they don't. Once the drugs are in your bloodstream, they are carried throughout your body, and they go to painful areas just the same as normal ones. So that's how aspirin and ibuprofen work. But there are other dimensions to pain. Neuropathic pain, for example, is pain caused by damage to our nervous system itself. There doesn't need to be any sort of outside stimulus. And scientists are discovering that the brain controls how we respond to pain signals. For example, how much pain you feel can depend on whether you're paying attention to the pain or even your mood. So pain is an area of active research. If we can understand it better, maybe we can help people manage it better.
There is an ancient proverb.
The pupil is ready, the master will appear. It will take dedication, it will take time.
There are many painkillers on the market that doctors use for different types of things. Pain is God's gift. Pain is a message of some type of problem. If we have no pain, we couldn't live. We say no pain, no gain. But it's actually beyond that. It's not just no gain, it's no live. If we didn't have pain and we were sitting on top of the stove and, oh, do you smell something? Oh, it's me. No pain, no gain. If you didn't have pain, you couldn't live. You wouldn't know how far you're going. You wouldn't know where you might be destroying tissues. Sometimes people have taken different drugs that block different receptors, and they can break handcuffs, at the same time break bones and cartilage, and have damage that can last for years. The pain receptors are there to stop us from hurting ourselves. They're there to guide us. Pain is God's gift. We often talk about pain as a gift from God that tells us what the problems are. If we have somebody in the other room that we shut up and lock up and close them in the other room, that might be a pain. And the person would get louder and louder, yell and pound, trying to get our attention. The more we don't listen, the louder they would get. But by opening the door and saying, "What is the matter? What do you want?" "Oh, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I need air," whatever. If we listen, we can oftentimes reduce the pain. If we listen to it, the pain. Because the people who walk on the coals, it isn't that they take their mind away. They actually put their mind onto it. If you listen to the pain, it will go away. People who have dramatic pain, I'll teach them, concentrate on that pain. Concentrate fully. Feel the pain fully. And after 15, 20 minutes, that pain will start to be released. Because if you're allowing your body to listen to it, pain is not the problem. We talk about shooting the messenger. Pain is the message. If we shoot the messenger, it's kind of like driving home tonight and you have the little oil light come on your dash, like a pain. You see, the painkiller would be like taking out a piece of tape and covering up the light. Say, "Oh, now the light doesn't glare in my eyes. I can drive home." What is he doing? The light is a message. It's a pain, it's a message. Covering it up interferes with the biological process. Using painkillers is not a solution. It might be a temporary solution in absolutely essential cases where nothing else can be done. After we have explored all the different reasons for what the pain, we've tried to listen to it and everything. If there still is pain, sometimes the painkillers are needed. There's a time for all things under heaven, as the Bible tells us. But to resort to painkillers in a doctor's office, blatantly, just prescription-wise, with less than a 30-minute interview, sometimes less than a 5-minute interview, to resort to that type of thing is an inappropriate idea of medicine. Pain is God's gift. Using painkillers is a disruption of the natural process.
Foods to include and avoid in arthritis. Hi, my name is Nicole and I write for the website healthybalancediet.org. What foods are ideal in fighting arthritis? Although medications are prescribed by physicians to those suffering from arthritis, having nutritious meals help fight the symptoms of the disease, most especially the inflammation. People need to understand that the medications prescribed do not right away spell out the word cure. Instead, they are meant to alleviate the pain and inflammation. But instead of leaving it all out on the meds, nutrition can also take on this role. Only it has more benefits as it not only fights the pain and swelling, but it adds to the energy. And of course, we can get nutrients. Some of the foods that will help you fight arthritis are as follows. Foods high in omega-3 fatty acids. Fats are also needed by our bodies to function well, and the healthiest known fat is the omega-3 fatty acids. This fatty acid suppresses inflammation by stopping the production of certain enzymes that wear away the cartilages. Antioxidants. When there is inflammation, the formation of free radicals happen. Free radicals are molecules that damage the cell, and it is with antioxidants where the body is protected from the effects of these molecules that can eventually be damaging. There have been studies that show that it is with specific kinds of antioxidants that help relieve pain and slow the progress of the disease. Ginger. An ideal diet would definitely be something that is not just nutritious but also tasty. And what better way to make food tasty than by adding in spices like ginger? Just like fruits and vegetables, ginger is a plant-based food and makes a huge impact to the health of a person. Ginger happens to have chemicals that have anti-inflammatory properties, making it an ideal part of the diet. What foods to avoid? If there are foods that should be part of your diet, there definitely are foods to avoid as well, as they can either trigger inflammation or pain. There have been studies stating that arthritis pain in joints can be triggered by allergic reactions to specific types of foods. If you keep these foods out of your diet, you will be able to experience relief of the pain and perhaps the swelling as well. It would be advisable to avoid these foods in your arthritis diet. Red meat, beef, pork, lamb. Have fish and chicken without the skin instead. Sugary foods such as honey and chocolates. Dairy products such as cheese and cow's milk. Salty foods and foods high in fat such as butter and margarine. Nightshade family foods such as eggplants, white potatoes, and tomatoes. Flour and bran from white wheat. Dry roasted nuts. You can have walnuts and almonds. Drinks such as soft drinks, coffee, even decaffeinated ones, and tea. For more on healthy diets and tips, visit us at www.healthybalancediet.org. Until the next video, thank you for watching.
Most pain relief medications, including over-the-counter pills widely available on your local grocery store shelves, have dangerous side effects, but doing nothing when you're in pain isn't an option for most folks. We've scoured the globe for the most effective natural pain remedies. That's why we're always on the lookout for new ways to safely, naturally help you get rid of pain. For the past year, we've been quietly researching numerous homeopathic remedies useful for reducing joint and muscle pain. So why homeopathy? Simply because it works, and without the side effects. And I'm not just talking hearsay and folklore either, but study after clinical study proving the effectiveness of homeopathic medicine. For example, one hospital in England conducted a 6-year study of over 6,500 patients using homeopathic intervention for a wide range of chronic diseases across multiple visits. The results were astounding for a medical field frequently dismissed by conventional doctors as quackery. Over 70% of patients treated with homeopathy got better. Again, that's for a broad range of interventions and a large number of diseases. But we asked ourselves, what if we narrowed our focus to search for the absolute best natural homeopathic cures for muscle and joint pain, the kind of pain so many of our readers and customers experience on a daily basis? We've taken our research and narrowed it down to a short list of 8 natural substances that work wonders on back pain, muscle pain, and joint pain. Now, most homeopathics, like most conventional drugs, are typically ingested in liquid or pill form. But we decided to go one better and keep this list to substances that don't even have to be taken internally. If properly prepared, all of these remedies on our list can safely be applied directly to pain by simply rubbing them on your skin near the affected area. Belladonna, which is a plant that impacts your body's nervous system. Ignatia, which is a plant that has been used by Chinese doctors for centuries to help calm the nerves and relieve pain due to emotional upset. Bruce Tox, useful for easing a variety of inflammatory symptoms. Phosphorus, which helps reduce the burning sensation in your muscles by regulating the nerves that send pain messages to your brain. Nausea, which relieves inflammation and pain in nerve tissue. Lachesis mutus, which is a blood thinner that enables blood flow and facilitates the healing process by hastening the removal of toxins from your blood. Menthol, which a balanced amount of menthol gives you relief without the burning other creams can cause. And MSM, which delivers vital sulfur to your connective tissue to form healthy bonds in your cells and joints for faster healing and pain relief. You may have to search far and wide to find some of these homeopathic remedies, and if you do find them, you have to make sure they are properly formulated to get maximum safe benefit, especially for topical forms. But we've done the work for you. After we wrapped up our research, we took these 8 best of the best homeopathic remedies and combined them in the most effective rub-on pain cream we've ever tried. In fact, we were so thrilled with the results of our testing that we've made it our brand new formula for rub-on relief. We've just made this new formula publicly available, and the best part is you can try it right now. If you're watching this video on our website, click on the links on this page to learn more about rub-on relief. If you're watching this video elsewhere, please visit losethebackpain.com to learn more.
Welcome everyone, this is Steve Hefferon from the Healthy Back Institute, and today I want to present to you the Healthy Back Institute's top 13 pain reduction strategies that can help those individuals who are in so much pain they don't feel like they can do anything physical. In fact, if you're in so much pain, for those individuals who don't even feel like they can get out of bed, there are things that you can do to help you get out of that acute pain spasm cycle. Everything that I'm going to show you tonight, I want you to be open to the idea of experimenting. I want you to do everything to your tolerance, and I want you to understand that even if you do some of what I'm showing you, you will benefit. Okay, the first one is short-term use of pain medications or anti-inflammatories. Now, these are going to be prescribed to you by your physician, so please use them with the recommended dose, and it would be our suggestion that you use them at the minimum amount of time. The second strategy is to understand that as soon as you have pain, or as soon as you get your diagnosis, you're going to have a certain amount of fear, worry, and doubt. Now that fear, worry, and doubt is going to create stress, and that stress is going to create stress and tension in the muscle. I want you to understand that as you build your knowledge, your understanding, your awareness about your condition, about what is possible, you can reduce that fear, worry, and doubt simply by studying. And that can help reduce the stress and thus reduce some of the pain. The third one is to limit the amount of time you spend in bed. Now again, it's going to depend on the severity of the condition, but lying in bed is not going to be your best friend. Okay, I don't know how long you're going to stay there. I don't know the duration, but certainly trying to get yourself out of bed as consistently and continuously as possible is going to help you get yourself to the next level. Now, the fourth one are breathing techniques. There are literally thousands of breathing techniques in Alice Brewmeister's book, The Touch of Healing. She describes a 32 breath method. My friend Jeff Prybeck has a 9 breath method, the warrior breath method. I'm not going to describe the techniques, but really, if you can take a certain amount of time and pick a number, I don't care if it's 9 or 32, and you consciously breathe for that number several times an hour or several times a day, it doesn't matter. As you begin to breathe deeper and create that cleansing effect in oxygenating your blood, more oxygen can help reduce pain. So please do some more experimenting into the breath technique, and I assure you that that will help you with your pain. The fifth one is the use of topical pain creams. The really exciting part about the topical pain creams nowadays is that they have both ingredients for anti-inflammatory, for pain, and for healing of the tissue. The little tip that I give people is use the pain cream immediately after getting out of a hot shower. Your skin is nice and red, and it has all the blood flowing. The pores are open, and it can absorb right into the skin and intensify the effect. The sixth technique is sound nutrition. Now we know that there are foods that help, and we know that there are foods that hurt. Here at the Healthy Back Institute, we've written extensively on these topics, so we would encourage you to come back to the site and to read as much as you can about sound nutrition for healing. There are supplements. Just to name a few, there are proteolytic systemic enzymes that can help with pain and inflammation. There are, fish oils can help with pain and inflammation, and there are plenty of others. We highly recommend that drinking more water is a must. Kind of the rule of thumb is half an ounce per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 100 pounds, we suggest that you drink at least 50 ounces of water throughout the day. Again, under the sound nutrition, we believe that keeping the colon cleansed is another very, very important aspect. We know that anybody on a narcotic is going to become constipated, and any form of back pain, you do not want to be constipated. So do some research into some teas, powder mixes, or capsules. It doesn't matter. Find a way to keep your colon moving. The seventh technique is the use of a supporting device. I don't care if it's a device that you sit on or it's a device that supports you from the back. I don't care if it's a better pillow. I don't care if it's a pillow underneath your knees while you're sleeping. Find those devices that can help eliminate the chronic irritation in your day, and the body can then heal itself. The eighth technique is the use of heat or ice. We know that ice should be used the first 48 to 72 hours, and then after the 72-hour period, you can use heat. I like using ice massage techniques where you fill up a Dixie cup, put it in the freezer. As it becomes a ball of ice, then you can rip off the top layer of the Dixie cup and apply the ice directly to the skin. You can go in linear motions along the muscles or in circular motions, apply enough pressure. And it really is a good way of decreasing the inflammation, especially around joints. We also like hot packs. We here at the Healthy Back Institute suggest and recommend the use of far infrared heat. Far infrared heat penetrates deeper. It's a more unified heat, and it does not emit any EMF. Hot showers is another way of getting the blood circulating. I don't care if you take 1 or 10 per day. If it can help you get motivated and get yourself to the next level, do it. This is all an experiment. Number 9 is the use of inversion therapy. Now, again, this requires the use of an inversion table. However, inversion can help decompress the spine. It can help, move and circulate fluids. It can help uncompress the muscles, and it can really help relax them to take the muscle out of that pain spasm cycle. Trigger point therapy is another one of my favorite techniques. Again, it doesn't require you to do anything physical except to get on the floor and lie on this device to help eliminate the trigger point. And if you can control the trigger point, in some cases the pain can go away almost instantly. Number 11 are the healing arts, and the healing arts would be inclusive to massage, acupuncture, qigong, aromatherapy, Bowen therapy, cranial sacral therapy, and even all of the energy healing techniques. Now again, remember, you don't go to one of these techniques or find somebody who can do it for you in the expectation that it's going to heal your pain. You go there in the expectation that it's going to help you get to the next level. The 12th technique really has to do with the mindset or the motivation and setting goals. I believe that you should set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and year-end goals. And you should review those goals daily. I just got a book from Brian Tracy called Goals, How to Get Everything You Want Faster Than You Ever Thought Possible. Absolute fantastic audio and book combination. Highly, highly recommend it for everyone and anyone going through either business or health-related issues. The 13th strategy does become physical, and really it has to do with exercising. Exercising can be as the basic form as walking. Should you walk with back pain? Absolutely. If that's the only thing you can do to get your blood flowing, to get your muscles going, to keep your heart circulating, do it. As you get better, go longer. As you get better, try going up hills. The second technique in the exercise category would be water exercises. I don't care if it's water aerobics. I don't care if it's water walking. I don't care if it's swimming. The water is very, very good because it decompresses the spine, it eliminates gravity, and it gives you a little bit of resistance. Fabulous. Now, the third aspect under exercises is to make sure that you're not exercising in a way that's hurting you. Meaning, there are some muscles on your body right now that are already too strong. So you don't want to continue to strengthen those muscle groups. And there are some muscle groups that are already too flexible, so you don't want to stretch them. So we suggest that you use muscle balance therapy to identify which muscles are tight, which muscles are weak, and to make sure that you're doing the most specific and targeted exercises for you to make sure that your body is as neutral, balanced, as stable as possible. All right, that's my top 13. I want to leave you with this real quick message. It's a Chinese proverb, and it basically goes like this, that no storm in nature lasts forever. And if you correlate to that to your body, you can to say to yourself that I'm not going to have this pain forever. And so nothing really changes until something moves. So my suggestion is for you is to start to do something to get yourself to the next level, and you will find your path to healing. If you like this video, please feel free to come back to our site and review all of our free resources.
We found that belladonna, ignatia, rustox, phosphorus, najatrip, lachesis, menthol, MSM, which is sulfur-related, cayenne pepper, mustard poultice. These are some of the handiest things that we're going to be able to use with our pain. Acute pain is at the point when the alarm system comes in. When the stressor comes in, the trauma, the first infection, those type of things, that type of first occurrence, that produces an acute pain. That's natural. That is the symptom. That's the alarm. Something is wrong. We have to understand, pain is God's greatest gift. It tells us when something is wrong. We have to understand, pain is God's greatest gift. We have to embrace that and recognize that no pain, no gain. Without the ability to have growing pains, we can't really grow. We have to be able to recognize, as the Buddha told us, everybody suffers. Pain is natural for the human being. It's part of the growth process. It's only people who are overly perfectionistic, people who are anal retentive, people who are overly religious, overly sensitive, overly compulsive. These people are more sensitive to pain because sometimes they're trying to have that area of life where they don't have ups and downs, that they just have ups. That's an unnatural thing.
It is said that anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you learn to do it well. But actually, anything worth doing is just worth doing. It's worth doing, period. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing. You don't have to sit around and wait, because sometimes you just never do. If you want to be able to overcome perfectionism, here's some simple tips that we've written into a book that you can get elsewhere. But as we work with this and start to understand the pain sensitization and the pain perception process, we start to learn more and more about ourselves and learn about the pain.
Science.
We all know what pain feels like, but it's not always easy to explain it, let alone treat it. But now doctors in Sweden have developed a sort of X-ray machine which can show pain. A radioactive tracer mixed with D-deprenol is injected into the patient, who is then scanned. The scan then shows painful areas of the body in red. Even when we use the more advanced types of X-ray examinations like MRI or a computer tomography, we still don't see pain. But with this PET, positron emission tomography method that we've developed, we can actually see irritation where the patient feels pain. Rolf Johnson had his own building company until a car accident in 1993. Immediately afterwards, he was fine, but pain in his neck developed over the following weeks, and eventually it became so bad he had to stop working.
You can't see the pain. You can look entirely healthy and people still can't see it. Maybe if you show up with a neck support collar, people might ask what's happened, but not otherwise.
Då kan folk komma och fråga, men vad har du gjort och vad har du råkat ut för?
Rolf Johnson believes that this research may make it easier for people with whiplash to claim on their insurance. Working as a pain specialist is a challenge. I can help lots of patients, but I also meet patients I can't help. The research is in its early stages, but doctors have begun testing patients with sprained ankles and tennis elbow and say they're encouraged by the results.
Pain is part of God's life. It tells us when something's wrong. When we put our hand on the stove, then we know from pain to back off. So pain is something that's needed. But too much pain then becomes where we need to do something. And if the pain has gone past just the symptom, the alarm idea, that alarm stage, and if the pain is continuing and we are not adapting, we are not healing correctly, now when pain becomes chronic, we have to be able to do something. We have to be able to address the different ideas. One of the best ideas that I found is that if I have the person think of the pain, focus the mind on the pain, and listen to what the body is really telling you. If you have somebody locked in a room and you don't listen to them, and they have something to say, they have to be louder and louder and louder until finally you open up the door and say, what do you want? This is sometimes what's happening with pain. We have to be able to ask ourselves, ask the body, what are you trying to tell me? What's the causative factors? And as we explore this with our operationalism, our interview, we start to understand more of what's really going on. And sometimes the body just wanted a chance to talk. Then we take that idea of the pain and we focus the mind on it, and then imagine in your mind that you're breathing into that pain, that there's a little mouth next to the pain, and imagine as you're breathing in and out that you're not breathing in through the nose and the mouth, that you're breathing in and out of a small mouth next to that pain area, wherever it may be, on the toe or whatever. This helps to alert the body to bring oxygen. This brings oxygen and it helps to diminish the pain. We can either attend fully into the pain to help to diminish it, or we can ignore the pain. There's two different techniques that we want to try, both of them, and find out, because sometimes ignoring a truth gives it power. We want to be able to find out what is the causative factors. You see, medical doctors see pain as the enemy. Pain is not our enemy. Pain is our friend. It gives us a guideline. It points us in a direction for cure that we start to explore. As we get into this interview, we've done our interview. Now with the SCIO, we can go to the buttons on the pain panel and help to send in little impulses. But we have to recognize that it is our due diligence to look into the causative factors of what's really happening with this pain. So finally, as I start to find out and ask people, what would happen if this pain went away? And oftentimes then I'll find out what the real reason for the pain is. The person might say, well, if the pain went away, then I could go back to work. And what they really don't want to do is go back to work. If the pain went away, well, then I could have a better relationship. Well, what they really want is a different relationship. As we start to understand more and more about the pain and talk to the pain, and then have my patient actually talk to their pain. In their mind, imagine that they're talking to that pain, and let the pain talk back. And in an imaginative state, you'll find that pain will often tell us just what it needs. And then finally, I'd like to be able to say that oftentimes with these chronic long-term pains, we have to tell the patient that this is part of the process and we can help them with the SCIO, with nutrition, etc. But to tell them to release this gradually, and tell them that we want to look into the body and try to rebuild the tissue properly. Because oftentimes you might get a pain in the ankle and you start to baby it. You walk differently. Thereby you're upsetting the balance. As you upset the balance, different parts of the body start to get out of whack and chronic pains in the back and etc. can form. So we want to try to restore ourselves to balance and vitality. And as we get pain, to recognize we have to work through it and to not just always baby ourselves and always use that crutch, but to try to gradually build back so that we restore ourselves to the norm.
Yes, recovering health and restoring health to the original balance that it should be. By using meditation, it has been shown in many different studies that people can be taught to deal with their pain. Signs of pain disappeared from MRI images with freshly trained meditators. The SCIO helps meditators by stimulating a type of meditation pulse. This can help to stimulate and deepen meditation, as well as the SCIO works on acupuncture principles using the gate theory. There are many different types of things that we can use: hypnosis, exercise, biofeedback, cognitive therapy, that all help us in different ways of learning about ourselves and learning about the whys of the pain. The human body can deal with pain, and mother's pain is incredible, and that's how we start in the pain process. Pain is not the enemy, and to deal with pain, we need to first be able to reduce the causes of the pain, the causes of all the diseases. Rebuild the organs and the tissues that have been destroyed by these causes. Unblock the blockages of flow, and treat symptoms naturally. And that's what the SCIO and this technology of IMUNE is all for. The most researched medical device in the world.
These are some of the ideas I want to talk to you about pain and introduce you to the SCIO and its ability to help you. If you have other questions, get back to me. This is Desiree Duvernay, signing out.